screenshots during sessions for social media purposes. So I will go to our Instagram and other social media. If this basically means that if you unmute or turn on your camera during this session, you give us consent to use your video and audio. So keep that in mind. But breakout rooms will not be recorded, and we encourage you all to sort of unmute, turn on your cameras, get to know your mentors and fellow mentees in those breakout rooms. So just be wary about turning on your video and unmuting during the actual lectures, but in the breakout rooms is completely fine. So who are we? So Schulich Ignite is a university student-run club which aims to make learning code, super fun and accessible for all high school students. And our goal is to, as it says in the name, to ignite a passion for programming, right? Because we love this. We want it to stick around. I never learned programming in high school, and I really wish I did. So the fact that you're in high school and you're learning this, I think is really, really cool, really important. It's a really important skill, and it goes a long way. So let's get to know you while the rest of the people kind of start trickling in. So we're gonna have a quick Zoom poll to get to know a bit more about all of you guys. So that should probably show up somewhere soon. And I think I can put this off to the side so I can see it. We'll give people a few minutes to answer the questions and see what we get. People that are entering. Seeing a few grade 12s, some grade 10s. Some of you are from British Columbia, which is interesting. There's 2 of you there. So yeah, it seems like got sort of an even split between grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. Most people are from Calgary. There's a few people outside of Calgary. And most people said that they joined because they're either interested in or looking into pursuing something in STEM. So that's just really cool. So yeah, so we're going to move on to a few quick words from our president. So there's a video, it's loaded. So our president, Rajpreet Gill, and she's a software engineering with a minor in biomedical engineering at the University of Calgary. So we'll see what she has to say. It's a quick video, and oops, if it'll play, let's see. There you go. Let me know if you can't hear it. No audio. Yeah, I'm not sure about why it wouldn't have audio. That's odd. I wouldn't know. Does anyone know how to fix that? Because I don't know. Share audio and screen sharing? It never asked. But I'll try it again, actually. I'll see if that works. Oh, share sound. Oh, I see it. There you go. Thank you so much. This should work, I think.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Schulich Ignite. It's a pleasure to have all of you here. My name is Rajpreet, and I am the current president at Schulich Ignite. So Ignite is actually a club at the University of Calgary that aims to ignite a passion for programming, for coding in high school students and youth in general. So we actually offer beginner and advanced sessions. So in the beginner sessions, you can expect to learn a lot about the fundamentals of the programming language Python. And as part of the advanced sessions, the focus of these sessions is to teach you about object-oriented programming and what it is and how it's implemented. And so for the advanced sessions, we do ask that you have basic knowledge of programming and prior coding experience. And as well, the time span of this program is 8 weeks. And by participating in this program, our aim at Schulich Ignite is to be able to help and for you to be able to design and build a coding project at the end. It's from previous students featured on our Instagram page, so feel free to check those out to get some idea on what these can look like. And you will also be paired with a mentor. So you can expect to work with your mentor as well as other students in your group during the work sessions that we would have implemented in your chance for you to practice some of the concepts that you would have learned in the lecture. So you can expect mentors to be undergraduate or graduate students in different study fields. So this includes, but is not limited to engineering, computer science, and or other majors. And some mentors might actually be on an internship. So what that means is they might actually be doing their work experience term. And so it's a really great chance for you to network with these individuals to gain insight regarding the tech world, computer science, engineering, and anything really you'd like to know more about and inquire about. So it's a great opportunity for you to start building your network as well. An exciting event that I want all of you to look forward to is the Schulich Ignite Gala event. So this is an event where you will have a chance to present your project to your mentors, other students, your guests, and your industry speakers as well. So we do invite industry speakers. In the past, we have had speakers come in from Google, AMD, Bell, Cisco, and other exciting tech companies as well. So you can get a great insight on how it is to be working in the tech field and what's it's like, and especially as a software developer, if you're interested in that, and as well as other occupations in tech as well. So throughout the 8-week sessions, there will also be additional opportunities and events that you can attend. These will be arranged by your executive team here at Schulich Ignite. And I highly encourage you to attend these events to take full advantage of this opportunity, as it can really allow you to gain invaluable information and skills as well. So I really want all of you to benefit from this program as much as you can. And one way you can do that is to be by being proactive and participating in all the sessions as well as additional events we will have throughout the term. And we're all able to learn a lot and are able to develop your problem solving skills as well. All right, and with that, I do wish you all the best with your experience at Schulich Ignite, and I hope that you are able to make the most out of this great opportunity. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any one of us, your mentors and or the Schulich Ignite exec team. We are all here to help you out and to ensure your Ignite experience is incredible. I'd also like to thank our mentors, Ignite exec team, sponsors, Dr. MOSHIRPOUR and Dr. Bejit for all the amazing work that they do and for being involved at Schulich Ignite and for making it possible for us to have these sessions. And thank you to all of you, our mentees and students, for being involved with Ignite. I hope you all have a great first session at Ignite, and I look forward to connecting with all of you throughout the 8-week sessions. Thank you, everyone.
And we got one more video from Dr. MOSHIRPOUR. He's got a PhD in software engineering, and he's a professor in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at the University of Calgary.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Schulich Ignite. My name is Dr. Mohammed MOSHIRPOUR, and I'm a software engineering professor at the Schulich School of Engineering. You're in the Ignite Flare class, which is advanced programming class. We have had many requests over the years to have a more advanced programming class, and great Schulich Ignite team, we have been able to make that a reality. If you're in this class, that means that you already know programming to a certain level and you're here to get more advanced skills. So that's great. That means you already know programming is important and hopefully you already like programming. So then I don't really need to convince you of any of this. And I'm sure we're going to have a very good semester and build some exciting apps. Now, with regards to Schulich Ignite, what's important is that you attend each session and you're able to consistently work on it. And if you do that, you're going to get great results. With regards to software, I want to mention to you that I want to talk about the importance of software for a second. if you've already taken the first Ignite course, you might have heard me talk about this, that software is everywhere, and it's very important for everybody to know how to write programs and to understand how programming works. With you guys, I would like to go a step further. Now that you know some programming and you're learning more and more, I would encourage you to go beyond this class and build on your skills on your own as well. So throughout this class, you're going to learn how to create games and learn some very valuable programming skills. This is going to really position you quite well for going for more advanced programming skills. And you can build anything. You're really limited only by your own imagination. What really attracted me to programming and software engineering was that I felt very empowered by the idea that I could sit behind my computer and create apps that other people can use, create applications that other people can use to solve real problems. So this is very exciting, and I would encourage you to look for cool ideas and other things that interest you to build it. So for example, you could create, especially using Python, because Python is such a powerful language, and you can easily connect it to machine learning and AI. You could look at YouTube, for example, and you can search for cool Python projects, Python games, and Python applications to get ideas and join the programming community. There are many cool and famous projects that are on YouTube, and you can sort of build it on your own. Many games, you can download data, make sense of that. You can get a Raspberry Pi computer and build really cool applications. There's a very interesting example that became quite famous on YouTube. It was a smart mirror where you had a Raspberry Pi connected to a mirror with some light sensors and what have you, and then you would enable voice recognition through talking to some APIs, and so you would basically build your own smart device, like a home, like a Google Home, and you can communicate with it. So look into that, and also you can see a lot of online resources to learn programming. So again, the Ignite class is a great idea to build your programming skills, and once you're there, then that's your takeoff platform, and the sky is the limit. Go and learn as much as possible and do well, and hopefully we'll see you at Schulich for engineering. Thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you every week. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Let's see if it'll move on. There we go. Awesome. So now that's sort of the introduction sort of done, we're going to start actually kind of getting into what we're going to be doing. So if you've already done the beginner sessions, you're probably familiar with variables and how to kind of do like if statements and things like that. You might be a bit familiar with functions. But now we're going to get a little bit more advanced. We're going to learn about a thing called object-oriented programming. And so this is a different style of programming that's a little different to what you would have done in the beginner session. If you've already gone ahead and maybe learned a language like Java, you probably would be a lot more familiar with object-oriented programming. But if you're completely brand new to object-oriented programming, which I'm going to assume most of you probably are, object-oriented programming, unlike sort of in the beginner sessions where you probably had sort of simple statements, you had variables that you would assign. You'd assign directly to variables. You would basically work directly with what sort of variables and things like that. You would add like numbers or whatever directly to it. If you wanted to represent a square, you had variables for the pixels or for its positions and things like that. In object-oriented programming, we don't really think in terms of just sort of data. We think in terms of objects, and we want to write programs where we have objects that interact with other objects. So a really good example, specifically for games, object-oriented programming is really popular in game development. Minecraft is a good example that's written in Java, which is mainly an object-oriented language. In Minecraft, behind the code, if you've ever modded Minecraft or looked into how Minecraft mods work, every block is an object. Steve, the main character that you play, is an object. Other players are objects. Cows, chickens, zombies. Those are objects. Water or lava, those are objects, right? The little items as they fall, those are objects. And so the way the code is defined is not defined in terms of, you have variables defining the, where an object falls or where something goes, right? Instead, you basically just describe how objects work together. So when one object dies, it would drop a bunch of other objects, or maybe one object, if you want an object to interact with another object, what's that object going to do? And we're going to get a lot more into the details of that, but a lot of modern software and a lot of sort of big important software at big companies and things like that, a lot of it is written in this object-oriented style because it's a lot easier to kind of think about the code, about what is doing what. And so we're going to get a lot more into the details of that much later on in the next few sessions. That's kind of an overview of object-oriented programming and its acronym, which it usually is OOP, O-O-P. So if you ever hear OOP or OOP used in sort of software engineering circles, they mean this object-oriented programming. Right? So quick overview on the few sessions. So we have 8 sessions. They're going to be interactive and sort of fun sessions. They're going to really sort of challenge you. We have a lot of exercises and projects for you to do, right? There's a final project that you're going to be doing at the end. And we really value your creativity. We want to see what you create, want to see what you do. And the workshops are meant to really give you an experience, like a hands-on experience building sort of projects with programming. And the key word there is experience. We do this for you, and we want you to make sure that that you're enjoying it too, right? So we want to make sure that you're putting in your best effort as well, so that you can get the most out of these sessions. So the first few sessions is going to be, so the first session, this is session 0, just introductions. Session 1 is going to be review and intro to Pygame. Session 2, we're going to talk about classes and objects. This is where we're actually going to get into object-oriented programming and how we can start working in it. And session 3 is going to be methods. Session 4 is going to be methods, a continuation of methods. And then we're going to talk about sprites in Pygame. Session 5, we're going to talk about making a player. Session 6, making an enemy. Session 7 and 8, you're going to sort of help you start to work through, and you're going to start doing your own projects using object-oriented programming, and your mentors are going to be there for you. So if you happen to miss any of these slides, like maybe you're sick or something comes up and you can't come to the sessions, you can always find all the content slides for our sessions on our website, schulichignite.com. Remember, all their sessions are recorded as well. If you don't have a GitHub, it might be a good idea to get one. You can find all the code that you can download from our sessions at this link. And then we will also have a sort of a reward system for people. So we have the Ignite points, which can be collected. You can win prizes at the end. We'll see the prizes later. There's a consistent attendance thing you can get, answering quick questions and exercises you can get points from. And then the top 3 projects that we pick at the end of the term are going to get points. And so we're going to look at some of the rewards. The top 3 students with the most Ignite points are going to get a $75 Amazon gift card. So you can use that to spend however you wish. And obviously to get the top 3, you want to be answering questions, showing up, and obviously putting in effort in getting you a project, right? But remember, the project is sort of the end, right? So if you want to get the top, you want to get a lot of points, what's more important is that you show up and you answer the questions, not so much that you do a good project, right? So I mentioned the score earlier. You'll get rewarded for consistent attendance. And so for your first attended session, you get 5 points. But with each consecutive session you attend, you're going to get 5 extra points. So 5 more points than you did your last session. So we're going to go through a quick example here. So let's say you go to your first session and you're gonna get 5 points. You go to your second session, you get 5 more than you did your last session, which is gonna be 10. But that's only for that session. You still get the points from your previous session, right? So you get 10 points for your second session. And in total, you're gonna have 15. So 1 for your first, 10 for your second. On your third session, you're going to have 15 points. So that's gonna be 5 plus 5 more than the ones you got in your second session. And then keep in mind, you already got your 15 points from your first 2 sessions. So in total, if you show up to 3 sessions, you're gonna get 30 points, right? And
Did Aaron leave the meeting for you guys? Or is it just me?
Looks like I lost Aaron as well.
Yeah, you lost him.
Okay.
No.
Let's maybe give him a
Let's give
couple
him-
minutes. Maybe he's having some technical issues.
Name one presentation that has never had a technical issue.
I could probably send him a message and check in.
So how's everyone's Sunday going in the meantime?
Been a pleasant weekend. Anybody do anything interesting this weekend? Robotics competition at 4. Ooh, good luck.
Nice. Got a car wash for the first time in like 6 months. My car's so clean.
Clean and pristine. Try to avoid those salts.
It's coming out of the store the other day. I'm like, where's my car? And I'm like, oh, that shiny thing, there's mine.
Somebody abducted my car and cleaned it and put it back. And dog walking. Nice. Yeah, the weather is absolutely gorgeous right now.
Beautiful. Does not feel like February.
Does not. Oh, there's actually a grass fire on Nose Hill yesterday. That's insane.
Gorgeous. Oh yeah, we've got BC people. Happy birthday, Valerie.
Happy birthday. Super awesome. Out of curiosity.
Okay, so it looks like his internet just went out, so he's coming back in like a minute. Let's just give him some more time.
You got him back. Oh, great question, Anderson. Take a look at your emails. Latest email I got from Schulich Ignite is saying, hello, group 1, you're in group 1, blah, blah, blah. And that's a squad number you're going to get.
Hello, I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know, my Wi-Fi just died. Like it just died for like 2 minutes or however long I was out. So I'm back. Okay. I'm so sorry about that. I'm gonna just blow through. So I'm just gonna assume that you kind of get the slides, right? Do you kind of get how this these points work for the sessions? I'm gonna skip through that. Basically, you get 5 points. If you ever want to come back, you can look at the session 0 if you ever forget. So and then it's the next bit. Remember, we had 3 things. So we had there's this streak score, you had the quick questions, and then there was the final project. So the quick questions are worth 10 to 20 points each. Any slide that has this little icon on it can be answered for points. So they're all going to be multiple choice answers, and they can be answered through a poll, which it'll pop up in Zoom, right? So you'll see when those show up. And another cool link is going to be this sort of Ignite point spreadsheet. There's going to be a link here. It might pop up in the chat. If you have any questions about Ignite points, you can ask also on our Discord server as well, or your mentor. They'll give you more information. So some of the things you can see on this spreadsheet, you can see the scoreboard for each category, how many points things are worth, how many points you can get, right? You can calculate how many points you might have. You can find all the rules and other frequently asked questions, things like that. And then I also mentioned we had a Discord. We have a dedicated channel for your group, ask your mentor questions, and then you can show off cool projects. Here's the link. That'll probably be pasted in chat. So once you join, you should get an email for your week that says the day of your week and the group number. Then on Discord, it's going to say you can, in the bot commands channel, you want to type squad set day hyphen group number. So if you're Monday group 3, it's going to see exclamation mark squad set Monday -3. So like in this example. Right? So I also mentioned sort of the final project that's going to be sort of showcased at the end of session gala, which we have at the end of the 8 weeks. It's going to celebrate your completion. And you're going to have an opportunity to show off your final project. You can also learn more about software engineering from other industry professionals and other sort of managers and people from, sometimes you have people from Google and Cisco. Monday -3. It's not you. I don't think we're Monday -3. The third number, the number is going to be your group. So whatever group was on your email. So if you are Monday group 5, we're going to be Monday -5, right? So that number is going to depend entirely on you. So we had a bit of a delay. So now let's get started. And so we're going to be using Python and Pygame. And so real quick overview of our tools. We have Python, which is the fourth most used language, and it's the 3rd best loved programming language around the world. So that's going to be the main sort of language that we're going to be using to code all of the logic and things like that. Then we have VS Code, and so VS Code is a text editor. You can also use it sort of as like it's going to be a text editor. We're going to use this to write most of our code. VS stands for Visual Studio, so we're going to get into how to download that later. But essentially, yeah, your mentee or mentors are going to be using it. I'm going to be using it. But if you don't want to use it, that's totally fine. You can use other things. There's plenty of other options, things like Sublime Text, Atom. There's actually a good, there's PyCharm, which is a pretty good IDE for it. There's another one called Spider, which is pretty popular. If you're a bit of a Linux geek, you can use Vim. I really like using Vim. I normally use Vim, but I'm going to be using VS Code for these sessions. But just keep in mind that if you use something outside of VS Code, if you run into issues, it's going to be harder for us to kind of sort of help you work through those if they happen to be specific to your text editor. And then finally, we have Pygame. This is going to be sort of the library. It's kind of the game engine that's going to be running a lot of the sort of stuff responsible for rendering and doing all that sort of logic that we don't want to deal with. So it's really popular, makes creating games a lot easier, and so it's going to be sort of the main library used. And then finally, Zoom. That's where we are. All the lectures and breakout rooms are going to be on Zoom, and they're all going to be recorded. So I'm going to exit out here. And so first thing you want to do is you want to check if Python is already installed. Do this is it's going to depend a bit on your platform. So if you're on Windows, you want to open the command prompt. Yes, we are using, you can use PyCharm. If you know how to use PyCharm, you can use PyCharm. I've used PyCharm, I've used VS Code. It really doesn't matter, to be honest. If you're using it, as long as you kind of know how to just how to program, it's all the same for the most part. All you're doing is just learning. I'm not sure if we're going to be using anything VS Code specific, but VS Code has a lot of extensions that are really helpful, and those so that might cause some issues if your mentor might be using an extension that's not available on the IDE that you're using. That can cause a problem. Replit as an IDE, that's I mean, if you want to use it, that's okay. But Replit, I think it's better online. I think one of the things about Replit that because I've used Replit before, and one thing I don't like is the syntax highlighting and the sort of what's called IntelliSense, sort of the code prediction is not very good compared to something like VS Code. Yeah, if you're using other languages, or libraries and stuff like that, Replit is not the best. I will say that as well. Yeah. So we should probably go back to how to verify we have an installation. Very quickly, I'm using Mac right now, so I'm going to be showing how to check. So what you want to do with your terminal, there's a thing called Launchpad. You want to press F4. Oops. You want to press F4, and you want to type up in the search bar. You want to search for your terminal. So here, I already have one open. And then what you're going to do is you're going to type Python 3 -- version. On Windows, you can type Windows key R and then type CMD. I think that should work. It's going to open up the command prompt, and you're going to just type Python -- version. So verify that you have Python installed. And you want to have version 3.7, I think. We're going to be using 3.8. 3.9 is like, I'm using 3.9.7. 3.9 is a lot better. So we're going to be using slightly older version, which is 3.8, but that's a good standard. Yeah, you can also search for it in the command prompt, or you can also just search straight command prompt in the, if you press the Windows key. So I already have it, but let's just assume that you don't have it. Where do we go to Python? So there's a link in the slides right here. I'm going to quickly paste that into chat, but you can also just straight up search up Python download. Right, so I'm going to go straight to this link, and you want to download the version that is the best for you, your operating system. So I'm on Mac OS. I'm going to download the Mac OS 64-bit Intel installer. If I was on Windows, I would want to get the Windows installer 64-bit. So this is the one at the bottom. If you're Windows, you want to get the one at the bottom. If you're on Mac, you want to get this one that says Mac OS, right? And so I'm not going to install it, but you want to press the button, and that should do something. It's probably going to install it. Yeah, it's asking to install it somewhere. I'm going to cancel. open it up, get the installation going, okay? And I'll give you a few moments to kind of get that settled. And then one thing I should mention is if you're on Windows, you're going to have to add it to your path. So when you go and you finish downloading it, now you're running the installer, it's going to ask you to install. Just say yes if it asks for any permissions. Python's really old, really. It's been around since, it's older than Java. Java's really old. So yeah, so you can trust it. For Windows users, you want to add Python 3.8 to path. You want to make sure you check this button. If you don't, you won't be able to use Python from the command line. If you happen to forget about it, just talk to your mentors. There is a way to fix it. It's not the end of the world. You just have to add it to the path, but that requires you to go through a bunch of settings and buttons and stuff like that. So just make sure you press it during the installer to make that easier on you. And then, yeah, so I'm going to assume that some of you have at least gotten Python installed or working a little bit. So now what we want to do is you want to verify. So we want to run Python 3 version again, right? Just to make sure that, I'm going to make this a little bigger. Just to make sure that we have something that I can't spell. Right? So I'm, right, did the same mistake twice. Yeah, so here it says I have Python 3.2.8, but now we want to verify we have this thing called pip installed. So on Windows, you can omit the 3. Since I'm on Mac, I'm going to use this pip3 command, right? And I'm going to check the version of that, and it says I have 22.0. It's just, we kind of want to just check the version just to make sure that we have it. So if you happen to have Python but not pip, talk to your mentor. That is a bit of a problem, but it's not too hard to fix. But pip is really important to continue with the rest of the thing, right? So the next thing we want to do is we want to download Pygame. And this is why pip is important, because we need to use pip. Specific version of pip, just the version that's, honestly, the newest version is, I think if you download 3.8, it's going to give you the right version. And if it asks you, it'll tell you if it's outdated. It'll tell you to upgrade, or it'll tell you to run a command. You can upgrade it if you want. Really, it's not that important that pip is kind of, if pip is an older version, because really we're just getting pip to install Pygame. That's what we're using pip for, right? So pip stands for pip install package, or it used to stand for Python install package. In a package, just a bunch of code, right? So it's a bunch of code that someone else already wrote that we can use. And so that's what we're using pip for. We want to install all of this code, which comes with Pygame, so that we don't have to write it ourselves. So we can check if we have Pygame by going pip show Pygame. And it's going to take a while. It's going to say no because I don't have Pygame, right? Oh, apparently I do. But basically, if you don't have it, what you want to do is you want to type pip install Pygame. And this is going to go through and it's going to check, and it says, oh, I already have it satisfied because I already installed it, right? This might take a few seconds, shouldn't take too long if you're brand new. And then once we got that, now we can move on to sort of VS Code and setting up that environment. So VS Code, well, what is it? I mentioned it earlier. If you don't know what it is a popular, lightweight sort of text editor. It's not exactly an IDE, but it is strongly recommended. It's pretty much almost everybody I know uses VS Code, but it's really, really popular. 2.1.2. Yeah, that's the newest version. Honestly, the newest version is probably better than the older version, because the way most software works above a 1.0 release is usually that it's backwards compatible. So if you're using the newer version, any code that would have ran on an older version, you will most likely work on a newer version. There's a few exceptions where that won't happen, but like I'm using Pygame 2. Whatever, and it works fine, right? We're not going to be doing anything that's like super sort of outdated, and like using like really old outdated Pygame functions and things like that, because most of the main Pygame sort of library is pretty much unchanged because it's just the same stuff. So it doesn't really matter what version of Pygame you're running, as long as it's not a really old version that doesn't support some basic Python stuff. So yeah, moving on, we got VS Code. So the way you want to search this up is, so there's a link in the next slide. I'm going to search it. You can also just search it up here. One thing I'm going to warn you about is that there's a Visual Studio and there's a Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio has like a purple ribbon and Visual Studio has a blue ribbon. You want the blue ribbon. You don't want the purple one. If you end up downloading Visual Studio, it's going to take a lot longer and it's not going to be what you want. Visual Studio is sort of a more professional tool and it's kind of, I don't know, I don't like it, but a lot of people use it for doing like development in languages like C, C++. We're doing Python. We don't need to use Visual Studio. Yeah, Visual Studio Code is a lot better for a lot more things. So make sure you get the blue ribbon. The first time I was going to get Visual Studio Code, I ended up downloading Visual Studio and it ended up taking me like an hour to figure out what I did wrong. And so make sure you click the right link. So it's going to be this first link here. And there's actually a link in the slides, in the very next slide, I think. So go here and you want to click download Microsoft. It's made by Microsoft. They do a really good job of making code accessible. Oops. I'm just going to click the link and then I'll copy it. Just add. Oh, I suppose it. Yeah, that's the link. Do I need to get Visual? If you have Visual Studio, you can actually do Python in Visual Studio. I wouldn't, in general, I wouldn't recommend anybody use Visual Studio. But if you want to, as I said, like it's the same with PyCharm. If you want to and you know how to use it, that's fine. But I would suggest you use Visual Studio Code because the Visual Studio Code has a really good Python extension that we're going to be using, right? Okay, so select your download and stuff. So I'm going to give you like a few minutes to kind of get that settled out. It might take a little when you want to install. If you're on Windows, make sure you get the 64-bit installer. If you're on, some of you might not be on Linux. If you're on Linux, you probably already know what you're going to be downloading anyways. So the next bit, then I'm just going to move on, assume that some of you got it set up. So this is what Visual Studio is going to look like. Not for you guys, I have a bunch of extensions on it to make it look pretty, but what you're going to get when you open it, so once you install it, the next thing you want to do is open it. And then what you're going to want to do is you want to go to this, in this menu, right? You're going to get this extension. So I'm just going to show you open a new window. This is what it's going to look like when you first open it up, right? It's going to look something like this. Yeah, it's going to look something like that, Visual Studio Code, right? You want to come straight down to this menu here with these little blocks, and these are called extensions. Please ignore this. And add this one to path. You can. So if you happen to add Visual Studio Code to your path, you can actually do this thing where you can do code dot in your terminal and it'll open. It'll actually open whatever directory you're in the terminal in Visual Studio Code. So that's a cool thing you can do if you add it to your path. If you don't add it to your path, like nothing's going to change. But see, as you can see, I opened this thing in here, and that's also, I probably shouldn't have opened that one in there, but yeah. So that's a cool thing you can do if you do add it to path. It's not required. It's not going to change much. So yeah, extensions. When you get this extension, the one thing you want to get, because we're going to be working in Python, you want to search up Python extension. So as you can see, I have a ton of extensions installed, but the one we want to get is this. So there's this Python IntelliSense. It comes sort of default with Microsoft and Visual Studio Code. So you want to just search that one up and grab it. It's the first sort of thing that comes up. Really, really useful. And that's going to give you a lot of that's going to give you syntax highlighting. So it's going to make your text all colorful, but it's also going to give you, if you actually want, you can also get Pylance. That's also a really good one too. If you get Pylance and the Python extension, you get, not only do you get like syntax highlighting and coloring, but you also get like sort of text recommendations, and it gives you like, you can click on text to fix it and things like that. Oh, there's no code in here because this is an empty thing, right? So here you can see that all my code is nice and colored. And then if I wanted to search something up, I can go, okay, go to declaration, right? This is all just the way VS Code works, but it's also with those extensions. Those extensions allow me, if I'm writing code, it's going to ask, like if I just start typing game, and then I go dot, right? It's going to show all of these things that I could add, right? And so that's why you want to get these extensions, because it really helps simplify the process, right? So I think that's enough time to get you all sort of set up. Yeah, so what you want to do now is you want to create like an empty folder. And this is where you're going to basically open VS Code and start and do your project. So just create a new folder somewhere. I have like a projects folder, like where I have all my projects. Just put a folder in there for Python. And then you just want to open that in VS Code. If you're on Windows, I think you can actually right click a folder and then open it in VS Code. But when you first open VS Code, you can also select like a file, like a folder in your system. And then the next thing we want to do is you're going to make a Python file inside of it. So I'm going to actually walk through that with you here. So I'm going to go code, file, new window. And give this a few seconds. There you go. And then what I'm going to do is start new file. So I'm going to go open. And give it, this is going to be, so documents, see how this project folder, I'm just going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it VS Code create, and then I'm going to open it. And this is going to just give it a few moments, and now it's opened. Here it says VS Code. Obviously, there's nothing in it. It's a brand new folder, brand new directory. So I'm going to add a new file. I'm going to call this, what did it say? Hello.py. Yeah, you can call it anything you want. So I'm going to call it, oops, I clicked this thing. I'm going to call it, yeah, hello.py, just to keep it simple. And then what you want to do is we're just going to make a very simple sort of hello world program. So to do that, we want to type print and hello world. And that's it. And when you're in Visual Studio Code, the way you can run your codes, you press Control Shift and then tilde, which is, so right above the tab key, right next to the 1, there's that sort of funny squiggly line character. If you press Shift and then that character, you get the tilde. So you press Control Shift and then, or you get sort of the tick mark. So the tilde is just the squiggly character. You press Control Shift, and that is going to be, if you press that, it's going to open the console. It's going to open a terminal in VS Code. And there you go. So I do that, and now it opens the terminal. And then all I want to do is I want to go Python 3, and then I'm going to type hello.py. Yes, so that's the command. And hello world, that's it, right? It's that simple for the most part. That's all all that's kind of meant to be done. Yeah, so there's other things you can actually do. If you're using extensions in VS Code, which is you can actually press this button here, run Python file. I can just run it directly. And if you notice, this opens up a terminal and runs it, and it's going to tell me what happens. Hello world. I can also press this button with the little ladybug, run and debug. And this is kind of mainly for debugging. Oh, yeah, I probably should have gone over how to make a new file. Yeah, so it's the way to make a new file in VS Code, you can right click and select new file. A new file on Windows, you can right click. You still right click, it'll say new file or new folder, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But then inside VS Code, there's a very easy way. So right here it says VS Code. You get a few options. So there's this button which refreshes. This one, it collapses all the files, which you don't need to worry about these two. I never use these two. But then there's this one, which adds a new folder. My folder, right? And then this one, which adds a new file. So I can just press this one. So I just created a brand new folder and a brand new file, right? And all I need to do is press these buttons. So this can kind of help you from doing a bunch of right clicks and things like that. And if I want to delete something, I can just right click it and I can press delete, right? It's going to ask me to move it to trash. If I want to rename it, I can actually click it. And if I press F2, I think it's F2. Or on Windows, I'm pretty sure it's F2. I think on Mac, it seems to be return. But you can also just right click it and you can rename the file right there. And notice that if you do happen to rename the file, the command is going to be, close all these. The command is going to change. It's no longer hello.py, it's going to be hi.py. If I happen to have a different file, so let's say I'm going to do my folder, right? And I'm going to move hi.py inside of it, right? I can no longer do Python 3 hi.py because it's going to say there's no hi.py file. So I actually have to go and do folder/hi.py, and that's going to run it, right? So kind of keep in mind the address you want. If you have any folders in the VS Code and you kind of want to run it, you have to type in the folder name, right? Because Python won't be able to find the file. Another thing to remember is if you're on Windows, directories are done with a \. If you're on Mac or Linux, it's going to be a /. So keep that in mind. Because I'm on Mac, I'm going to end up using a / for everything, right? But if you're on Windows, the way you want to translate that is you want to turn all of my sort of / into \/ because that's what Windows does. Okay. So that's a very simple overview. So I think that kind of goes through everything. So if you notice, there's this little emblem that'll show up too if VS Code recognizes that it's a Python file. And you can also, I already talked about how you can run the different files. If you have problems, just ask your mentors. So we're going to go into breakout rooms really quickly to make sure everyone has this working. If everything works, chat. You could also just chat with your mentor, see how things are going. So a few checklists to make sure you have is Python 3.8 plus. I already went over how to download that. Ask your mentors if you forgot. You want to make sure you have pip, and you want to make sure you have Pygame, and you want to make sure you have VS Code, right? So make sure you have these 3 running. That's get those checked off, and then maybe you can play some games or something like that in your breakout rooms. Let me see what the next slide is, and yeah, you can ask them questions or do anything you want, pretty much. It's going to be a very sort of laid back kind of breakout room session because there's not much to really do at this point, right? So yeah, ask your group, other fellow group mates questions. What's your name? What's your favorite smell? Other programming languages, like what's your favorite programming language? If you happen to have more than one, how many years have you done programming, is something like that, right? There's also a bunch of ideas for games to play. I don't know if people still play Among Us. Scribble is really fun. You know, Two Truths and a Lie is a really good icebreaker. Yeah. So yeah, just do what you want. Make sure that you have, but make sure you have those 3 checklists. Once you get those 3 things checked off, then you can, you know, kind of have some fun. And then yeah, remember to join the Discord. And so we're gonna see you soon. Remember, tomorrow's the first session, like the real first session. That's gonna be at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, at February 14th. Right, it's gonna be every week after that. So thank you so much for coming. I think we're gonna move you into the breakout rooms now for the next like 30 minutes, I think.